Black woman created this. Black woman created this. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sundays with a Cherry on Top. I am your host, Cherry, and I just want to say that it's good to see you guys, and it's good to be here and back after a long Juneteenth celebration. We took the 15 days, because people got their 4th, but we got our Juneteenth, and we just added 15 more days to it, okay? And just took some time to catch up on personal stuff and just get some artistic things tied up and take a nice needed break. It's summertime, so I like to give myself that time to just do some self-care in between the interviews. So that's why it's been a minute, but I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to with my guest that's coming up, Susan Hayward. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure to remind you guys, as always, you guys know the drill, to follow me on social media. Don't forget to find me on Instagram at Sundays with the Cherry on Top. Don't forget to find me on Twitter with Sundays with Cherry. And of course, there's the YouTube channel, Sundays with the Cherry on Top. You can go back and find earlier interviews. You can find some cherry picks to if you want to know what the latest book is, or a new organization you may want to donate to or support a Black business. The cherry picks are up there. And so make sure you go do that and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. So every time I upload and drop a video, you will be the first to know. Okay. Anyway, I just, how like I like to start each interview with a fun fact, right? And I just want to do a fun fact with Susan and I, because this is one of my favorite stories. With all my friends who come onto the show, I like to give a little, love story about how we met. And Susan and I met through a mutual friend of ours, Russell G. Jones. And he had 2 tickets to a play called Neighbors. This is, I want to say, back in 2009, 10 is way back. But I've known Susan for over 10 years. And for whatever reason, he couldn't go, and he basically was like, okay, great, Cherry, you get 1 ticket. And then at the time, he was like, Susan, you get another ticket, and you guys are going to meet at the Public Theater, and you're going to go see this play. But at the time, I didn't know who I was meeting, right? So we get there, I find out it's Susan, Susan finds out it's me, and we go into the Public Theater and we go see this play, Neighbors, by Brandon Jacob Jenkins. And I'm not going to comment on it. If you guys want to know more about it, you can read the play. And then if you want to talk, we can talk off mic. But I just want to say that Susan and I were holding hands through the whole damn thing. And that's how we became really friends. And we're family, because we just ended up just loving on each other that night because of the play. So anyway, we're holding each other's hands, squeezing each other's hand, grabbing shoulders. Anyway, it's one of my favorite memories of us, because we met in agreement, touch in agreement, okay, on the same issues, and we had the same politics, and it was a beautiful way to meet somebody with a beautiful soul. So with that said, I want to bring on my guest, Susan Hayward. Yeah.
Hi, love.
Hi.
I love that you call it a love story. I love that, because
that's how I view it.
Absolutely. Little trauma bonding and a little love.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Because sometimes I think about that moment and wonder if I sat through that play by myself.
Yeah, or anybody else.
Or anybody else, right? And
it's so we were strangers, but we felt free enough to just
yes, and just hold on. And hold on for dear life. Anyway, I just want to welcome you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I just really appreciate it. And before we get into the interview, I always love to do a check-in with all my guests. I just like to check in because there's so much going on in the world, in the country, in politics, and just some people still think we're in the pandemic. Some people think we're out of the pandemic.
Right.
I mean, it's a shit show right now for some people. So I want to do a check-in. Where are you with all this, and how are you doing?
No, thank you. Thank you kindly. I'm in Brooklyn, which is not where I was. By August of last year, I left Brooklyn to move back in with my parents in South Carolina.
Wow.
Thinking that I guess that's it. That's what I was going to be, because the exodus in New York, I found that I needed to leave too. I couldn't afford my rent anymore. Real talk. And I had all these plans. Like, okay, cool. I can live in Charleston, South Carolina. I can do this. I couldn't do that.
Hey, listen.
I couldn't do that for a lot of reasons. And then I was really, really blessed. I had just an out of the blue blessing. I got to shoot Delilah.
Which you're going to talk about. I'm excited.
We're going to talk about
it. But I'm excited. But go ahead. Yeah.
The timing of that thing, it took me out of Charleston and put me to work, which was, oh God, it was so difficult to just be stuck in the house and not have work to do. And I tried to like self-direct some things. Like some people went and learned other skills, and I had a really, really hard time with that. My therapy practice, which had been kind of sporadic, I got really regular with that. Every week. So like just up my self-care practice. I like to say that like as we get older, our self-care has to get more sophisticated.
Okay. Amen.
The body changes.
Yes.
You got to drink more water. You got to stretch for longer.
Ooh, yes, amen. And and sometimes you have to give yourself that extra glass of wine. I mean, for me, like
sometimes that's self-care too.
Like I'm like, let me get that little glass of prosecco. That's a little self-care too.
It's wine for you. It's whiskey for me.
Amen.
And also, I feel pretty deeply, madly in love. And we navigated the quarantine together.
Okay.
And
I love this.
Girl, usually I don't talk about this kind of stuff.
I know, but that's why you see me dancing. I'm like, I'm taking it all in.
But I'm learning slowly. Like there's a difference between private and secretive. And so I'm learning that, and like there's going to be mistakes and along the way, but I just could not have gone through and survived these last few months the same way without him. So when I say Abrahaming it, I mean Abrahaming it. We went to Colombia, South Carolina. Colombia, South America.
Where that's a whole different country, girl.
Let's get it. Whole different continent. Yes. Went there, met his family, saw his family, came, and then that's what brings me back to New York. We met in New York, and it's like, okay, this is home for other reasons than when I left.
Okay.
That brings me back here.
That's a good check-in. Yes, that gives me so much hope because, also too, one of the things about starting this platform that I'm learning and growing too is because, like you're saying, private and secretive, right? Because I've always been like a private person, but also too revealing some of myself during the interviews with my guests, opening it up, being vulnerable and saying, oh my gosh, I'm going through that too, or my relationship with my mom, or, but I welcome it, because self-care has always been therapy for me as well, working out and all of that. And also to just connecting and evolving and growing and going, there is a difference between private and secretive, and there's some things, just to connect with people just on an artist level, a human level, a woman level, there's so many things on a Black level, and just let people know that, you're not alone in putting myself in vulnerable spaces that are just not on stage or not in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's different.
It's different. And so I've grown up, I've evolved a lot too. And also too, just feeling safe because the guests, you guys share some great, beautiful things. And I'm like, well, let me share too then, because you know what? You're giving me love. I'm going to give you back love, and just to let you know, you're not alone. And so I really appreciate that because, I've been, the pandemic by myself. And so that was hard in the beginning. It was more of like, oh, I'm the only child. I got this. I'm used to being by myself. I don't hang out as much anyway, as people who know me know. I'm not always out in the clubs or in the street or hanging out. And then after a while, I was just like, oh, this is a different kind of, this is going longer than I thought. And then I'm like, oh, it's been 15 months. And so that has been hard. And so just saying to people like, yo, I've been quarantining by myself. It was hard. I was lonely at times, and it was really hard just to say that and to have to give love and get received and go, oh my God, I understand that has been great. I don't want to hold that in. I don't want to be embarrassed to say that I was, because we all was hit differently with this pandemic.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I'm one of the people I say we're still going through it.
Yeah.
It's a global pandemic and we're on the globe. So while it might not be affecting us the same,
Yeah.
It's affecting all of us. I tried to order something, and in the email they were like, okay, this is the date, well, it'll reach you. And then I got a phone call, they were like, don't listen to that, COVID has stopped,
Wow.
everything shut down, everything slowed down, everything. So it's still affecting everybody in different ways.
Yeah, yeah. Amen. Amen. Well, thank you for that check-in. That was a good, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
So I want to go ahead and segue into my first question
Yes.
with you, because you do film, you do TV, you do theater.
Try to.
Yeah. Okay. Amen. Okay. Shout out to Delilah. We'll talk later. But you you go back and forth through all these three genres in our arts. And so I have a picture of you from Sabrina Fair, what you did back in, okay, exactly. What you did back in. The reason why I picked this picture is because of,
Oh, yes.
I came to DC at the Folgers Theater to see you in this. And the reason why I loved it so much is because it's traditionally a white role played by, a white woman, Audrey Hepburn. If you don't know the movie, check the movie out, Sabrina.
Yeah.
And so, I wanted to ask you, I loved you in that play. I love to learn a different side of you in that way. So where did your love of the arts come from?
Boy. Ooh, I have a dramatic family.
Mm.
Very, like I'm the quiet one in my family. Everybody else is funnier. They're all incredible storytellers. So I feel like I got to sit back and watch incredible storytellers, and I was raised by TV. I was a latchkey kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, when Beauty and the Beast came out, and I was like, oh, a Disney princess who likes to read, she's a bookworm too. Rewind, I will watch it again and again and again and again. And I like the idea of always going back and finding something new. Started to be exciting to me really young. And I have to give a shout out to Freedom Theater in North Philadelphia, because it was a place I could go to after school and be with other young Black kids who were really interested and serious in the arts. And I got to see these amazing, amazing young artists and see what was possible.
Oh my gosh. I love that. And thank God that that happened, because the blessings you give us in your work. Come on. Like yes,
the blessings I
honey.
receive, it's all a reflection of the blessings I receive. I remember being, like a 11-year-old kid, seeing all like the older high school kids, and they were dancers, they were singers, they were actors, they were smart and intelligent and fabulous.
Yes.
And I hadn't really, I have a complicated relationship with the church, but I hadn't really seen artists like that. I saw like, the church being a place where the arts can live, but not a place where it was the goal. So watching those kids, and I have to give a shout out to Lynn Whitfield playing Josephine Baker.
I mean, come on, that. And then I remember for me, my mom would play, I remember Lady Sings the Blues, Dinah Ross. And I was like, how do I do that?
How do I do that?
I don't even know what she's doing, but the way I'm like, give me Dinah Ross and Mahogany and Lady Sings the Blues any day, because I want to do that.
The drama, just the whole, you just got caught up in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wanted to, know how to weave the same spell.
Yeah, exactly. I love how you put that, weave the same spell. So speaking of blessings and spell binding and Lynn Whitfields of the world, and Dinah Rosses of the world, let's segue. This is a perfect segue. Yes, Susan, thank you. It's a perfect segue to get into Cicely Tyson with the trip to Bountiful. Okay, because
oh my God, look at her.
Listen, I had to see this play twice. Now, the reason why I had to see this play twice is because the first time I went to go see it, I cried through the whole thing. She came out and all I saw was just blurry. And and the second time you helped me with the second one. You was like, "Here's a ticket, girl." I was like, "Thank you, thank you for this ticket. Thank you for this ticket." Because you got me. You got me in there. So I appreciate that. And so this is your Broadway debut.
Yes.
You're coming in to do Trip to Bountiful, and you find out that you're going to be watching Cicely Tyson. So. Yep. What was the experience like for you? That's the first part of the question. And the second part of the question is, what did you learn by watching her?
Okay, can I answer the second part first?
Yeah, please. Answer any way you like. Yes, any way you like.
So for Miss Tyson, I learned about specificity, which is something I'm still learning about. But that woman does her homework before she started rehearsal. She traveled down south. She traveled to the town that she thought that the family would be from. She felt the earth. She, felt the wind on her skin. She looked at the light in the sky. And I'll never forget it. I was watching, because sometimes I would understudy, so I would get to slip out during the show and watch a show with an audience. And so I sat up at the very top. This woman, there was one time she walked out. And so if you're the audience, she basically walked out and then took a take up. And her thought was so specific. Wow. You felt like, I know exactly what that woman just thought. The way she is so specific in her imagination, and she took care of her body so that her body was communicating on like a really subconscious level. And I think that taught me about relaxation.
Wow.
I'm not a naturally relaxed person. I'm type A. I'm a worrywart. I'm a control freak. I want to know every damn thing. I'm working on it in therapy. But
shout out to the therapists out there. Amen.
Shout out to the therapists. Yes. But her sense of relaxation allowed for her to have that really specific thought, and it changed the molecules in her body. And for someone who's as open as you and other artists, it hits us. Like, that's why you just started crying when she came out, because she does all that work and carries it with her, and then she stays relaxed and specific every night. She's an athlete, this woman. I learned how much that cost, because she didn't eat no sugar. She ain't had no sweets. She hosted everybody else, but her snacks were like the really healthy stuff that has no taste. She was so sweet because she offered it. She's like, yeah, here's some sweet for me. Be like,
oh man, you're like, Miss Cicely, I can't say that. Thank you.
But it cost, and she had the results. She was incredibly disciplined, incredibly relaxed, and incredibly specific. Just
wow, that's a beautiful experience. And going into it, when you were like,
I was incredibly intimidated, because it actually came off of a really difficult time for me. 2012 had been my worst year in New York. I lost my best friend. I lost my apartment. One of my managers passed away. Wow. And I was like, just not okay. And two friends were like, hey, we have a third bedroom. Come be in the bedroom. We'll handle your rent, because we know that you don't have it right now, but we know you're good for it when you do.
See, that's family. That's family.
That's family.
That's family. I don't know if my cousin's gonna watch this later, but I was literally just having an email conversation with my cousin, because I was like, listen, that's not this is how we work here in New York with the artist friends. This is how we do it.
Straight angelic. Yes. And like, thank you. So I'm like, and I had understudied Condola in Ruins before that. And so I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get anything to save my life. And I saw that she was working her trip to Bountiful. And I was like, if there's one thing I know I can do, I can do that. So I called my managers at the time, and I was like, hey, I know we talked about not understudying anymore, because sometimes in the business it can pigeonhole you if you do it too often. I know we talked about it, but I'm struggling. And like, if this is a humbling moment, I will take the L. I need work. I need a job. And they said, I hope this is okay to say, but you'll never believe this, but the casting director actually had you in mind for this. She's been thinking about it. We didn't tell you, because we talked about not taking on our understudy gigs, but there's an open door for you here. And I was like, hallelujah.
First of all, let's talk about the divine, about how listening to that voice.
You're like, I want to be consistent. I don't want to go back on what I said. I want to push through. But sometimes the best way forward is to like take a step back. Take a step back. So when I learned that I had a job, it was more than a job. It was like, I maybe I am making the right choices. Maybe I do belong here. Maybe I don't have to go back home and open up an H&R Block and become an accountant, because
Girl, listen, I'm the reason why I'm responding is because I had a conversation with my mom. This is years ago. I was like, I'm quitting. I'm giving up. I'm giving. This is before the Emmy, so the Emmy's keeping me here, okay? But this is before the freeway. This is before the Emmy. But I was like, I want to come back home. I quit. I just want to move. And my mother just said, you can always come back home. There's always a place for you. But I'm not gonna be happy, and you're not gonna be happy sitting behind a real estate desk. I was like,
real estate. And it's like, are you sure?
I was like, what?
I might be happy.
I think I can make it work. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you're just like grateful. Oh, I'm gonna get start praising. But yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because I'm so glad that you listened to that voice. And I know you said, like, to quote you, to take the L, but the fact is that when we humble ourselves, and so many beautiful things come out of that, and that's what it sounds like happened to you.
Oh yeah, that ego gets real sensitive real quick, and if it gets out of hand, life will be like, oh, handle that ego thing.
Yeah.
Because then when I got there, I saw the work ethic that I thought I was working, but no, I was not. The way Miss Tyson worked, the way Vanessa Williams worked. Vanessa Williams, such a sweet.
Well, I have a picture too. I have a picture for that too.
Such a fun floor.
Yes, I was ready. I was like, just in case Vanessa Williams comes up, I got you. I got you. But listen, okay, but keep going. Like, so amazing. But her work that, yeah, talk to me about her.
I watched her. She was in the show, and then she had written a book with her mother. Look, gorgeous. She had written a book with her mother that she was doing promotions for during the production.
Yeah.
She would take, every now and then she would guest host on early morning TV shows. So she would get up, she would be like hosting an early morning TV show, and then come to the theater and do a matinee, and then take a little break, do a night show, and then host people at the bar across the street at night.
That's how I met you. Introduced me to her when we went to the bar across the street.
When we went to the bar across the street, which was a big night.
Yeah.
But we're saving that for the memoir.
That's us. That's us.
Yes. Y'all got to come back again. But I just and she came in one day and she was like, "You're an actress. You need dresses, right? Here's 2 bags of dresses that I don't really use anymore. I don't wear anymore. Take whatever you want, and make sure that anything you don't want, you make sure you give those to someone else who might need them."
That's a beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And it's great surrounded. That's the stories I want to hear it. Because for me, I expect the worst, because I'm just like, oh my God, I don't want to meet my favorite people, because if they turn out to be not nice, I don't know what I'm doing myself. So I love it when I hear that, someone like Vanessa Williams or Sister Tyson just giving and humbled, and you know what I mean? I love it. I love it.
Wow. Just inspirational. Just watching them, being near them. I'm okay, taking notes.
Yeah.
Taking notes.
Wow. Okay, let's get into this Black Girl Magic of Harry Potter. Because you were literally Black Girl Magic with your wand stick and everything.
Girl.
So we have Harry Potter, the Cursed Child, Rose Wesley Granger. Because I will say this, while this video was running, I never read the Harry Potter books. I never got into Harry Potter. So I want people to forgive me if I don't get all the names and everybody right, because I just wasn't. I know people who are into it.
Yeah.
And so this is a 2-part 5-hour Broadway play.
Right.
And so you were doing this, but you're doing this every night. And Noma Dumenzweli.
Yes.
I'm close. Okay. See, if she sees this, she's gonna see. I practiced it too, but listen. Okay, say it for me.
Slow down. Noma
Dumezwini.
Boom.
Thank you. Dumezwini. I love it. Okay, thank you, because I want to get it right. So you work with this amazing actress. Yeah. She's amazing. And for those of you guys who may know her or may not know her, you can check her out in The Undoing on HBO with Nicole Kidman, where she kicks ass.
Is the reason a lot of people watch it. I'm just going to say that about my friend and leave that there.
Okay. She kicks ass. So talk to me about the magic of this and the experience of this. And how did you get through this every night with all? It just seems like a toll on the body kind of show.
You remember that thing I said about self-care?
Yeah.
That taught me. It was like, oh, this is what's necessary. I have to warm up. We did a group warm up, actually, the entire cast. It was part of our contract that we would come an hour before call and warm up together as an ensemble, which doesn't happen a lot.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people in the industry kind of poo-poo it as something that, oh, you only do that in grad school, but
Mhm.
it really did do wonders for the ensemble. And I didn't always like it. I certainly grumbled myself. I was like, I'm a professional. I know what I need. But it was useful, that warm up. And when we first got the news, it was very exciting.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
we had to immediately put a lid on it because we couldn't tell anybody. They were like,
Oh,
"You got the job, but you can't tell anybody."
wow.
So there was a lot of secrets, and I found that life mimicked art because where we rehearsed, also we couldn't tell anybody. There were like super fans trying to figure out where we rehearsed.
Wow.
So we would all have to get on a train that will remain nameless.
Okay.
We have to go to the end of that train and then all get on a little, like one of those little buses,
Wow.
and then take the bus to the rehearsal space.
Wow. They weren't playing.
They couldn't. They like the magic is in folks not knowing. So they really built infrastructure to protect the secrets of the show. So immediately after the like the, oh my gosh, I got the job. I gotta do
Yeah.
what?
Man.
Okay, okay. Um, and then the rehearsal process was really intense because they had done the show already in London.
Mhm,
So it was a matter of putting up the show they had already done and
mhm,
then putting new people into certain spaces. So you tried to get in there and find your own way to do it without completely disrupting the rhythm that
mhm.
the original six leads had. All six leads came from London. So they had a year behind them, and the US cast had to catch up pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Watching Noma come from a small hiatus after doing the show for a year already, and then have her own rehearsal process where she went, all right, this is what it is. I have new thoughts about this. I also have to have a self-care routine so that I can do this 8 times a week. Watching her put those pieces together
Mhm.
was a real lesson for me. I could sit in the rehearsal process and track how she put the pieces back together, but in a new way for a new time with a new audience.
Wow.
And she's incredibly open to the present moment,
Wow.
right? Like she didn't project on, or if she did, I couldn't tell. Like,
Mhm.
what could this mean for my career? Like there was a possibility. A lot of people emigrate to the U.S. for job opportunities, but she stayed in the moment and let things happen, and they are still happening for her. And it's just amazing to watch her ride this wave and with just welcome life with open arms and be like, I don't know, let's see what
Wow.
happens. And it's
Mm.
really a beautiful dance to watch.
And so a question, because I'm not really into the Harry Potter. Like I got into it once I started to see it all over the place, and I still
Sure.
haven't seen all the movies. So anybody out there, fans, don't
Don't
get on
judge
me.
my friend. Don't judge her. This is her show. You can't come here and judge her.
So Hermione, is again, we're going back to this theme of like with you and Sabrina Fair,
Yeah.
originally Audrey Hepburn, white woman. Same thing
Yeah.
with Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
And so was that, and I it seems like the fans wouldn't care about that because it seems like the fans are just all about diversity. But was there any issues coming up with that, with her playing this part? And then I know you can't speak for her, but like, did you witness or see any of that, or for you being the daughter of this interracial couple?
Not face to face.
Okay.
Um, I was about to be petty. I don't need to be petty. Not face to face. I saw things online where
Mhm, okay.
folks feel safe to say all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah.
Um, but people were definitely invested in their version of
Mhm.
Hermione because she's just, young, smart, powerful wizard who most folks who read the series know that Harry could not have survived were it not for Hermione. She was like
Mhm.
integral to his arc and his survival. Um, and people hold on tight to beloved characters, and when someone comes and flips that, it can shake their sense of identity,
Mhm.
honestly. And I
Yeah.
found it to be like an opportunity for people to open their hearts,
Mhm.
open their minds, and people can either do that sometimes or they can't.
Yeah.
Um,
I love this. I love this journey. I don't, and I'm connecting the dots because,
mm,
steps, I believe steps are ordered. I'm not into coincidence.
mm,
And I love how these traditional roles that you're breaking into these
It's a
roles.
theme.
And it's a theme for you in your career,
Mhm.
which I love though, because breaking down barriers, whatever words come up.
Sure.
But the thing is, again, another one, with your series regular debut and, with Dina and
Powers.
Powers,
That's
because
right.
Dina in the comic books, she's a white woman,
White
and
woman.
then here you come in, you go in this audition, and you bust out, and then you
Ah,
get Dina, right? And
absolutely.
so, and then
Ah,
so either look at that,
oh
you
my
look so
God. I haven't seen these pictures in a while.
and then see there's Dina, right? And so that's again the theme of your career, and
Yes.
your steps are ordered to just come in and just you go into the audition room and you do the work that's needed for the
Mm,
part. And it's not about
mm,
going, you know what I
mm.
mean? And you
I
go in there and change.
do.
I feel like you go in there and change minds because clearly you are, because they're like, okay, you know what? I know the part is traditionally this, but we want
Mm.
Susan, which is what I love.
I
It,
really appreciate you saying that because I have a deep belief in, and I recently found this phrase for working with April Yvette Thompson.
mm, mm,
Recently, she teaches it as something called emotional chords, and
mhm,
basically, it's the idea that everyone comes to this earth to learn a certain lesson, and the actors, when paired with the character who has to learn the same lesson, it can
mhm.
be a really potent and really powerful way to tell stories. So I try not to limit myself
Yeah.
to a type. What are the emotional chords? What are the lessons that the character is learning? Because if we get that inner life cooking,
Mhm,
baby, that's why people come to the theater or press play. That's why they don't come for what they think they come for what it
mhm.
looks like, but they come to feel something and watch somebody learn a life lesson, whether they know it or not. So I've been very, very, very lucky and very blessed.
Yes, and talk about blessings. We have CC Matthews in Vinyl. You were in Vinyl on HBO, and then one
Yeah.
of my favorites, Tamika Ward on Orange Is the New Black. Right? Like, ooh, okay, look at it with our girl
Hey,
Danielle.
Danielle.
Look at
Oh,
it. And
oh
then
my God.
and then also too, I remember. You look at there. Look at CC.
Girl, that wig. They had that Afro wig. That is the Afro wig of my dreams.
Did you keep it? Did you ask
Yeah,
if
I
you could keep
sure did not. I asked if I could pay for it, and they said, "Can you pay for it?" And I said, "You know what? No, I cannot."
it? You look
I
so good.
said,
And then also too with your a role with Demetria Barnes and Delilah, that's on OWN. I want to ask you before we really get into um, Delilah. I want to ask you about from the first time you've stepped onto your first series regular Powers, which was on PlayStation, one of the first
mm,
people to start doing streaming, because I was like, PlayStation had TV, all the way now to the Demetrius Barnes. What have you? What's different for you when you walk onto the set as opposed to the first time you walked onto the set
mm,
to now? What have you learned from that? And then the second thing I want to say is, no, I guess I'll stick with that for now. Like the journey of you being on
mm,
set. Like, what's that journey?
mhm.
What has that journey been like? I'll put it that way.
It's been really a humbling experience all around. But what I learned on the power set is that there's like this hierarchy
Mm-hmm.
um, that's kind of designed. And I was number two on the call sheet for the first time. For anybody who doesn't know, the actors are listed in terms of who's the lead, who's supporting, who's co-starring, who's guest starring, and you literally get a number that you're
Mm-hmm.
assigned before you come on set. Number one is the lead of the show, who the show's about, and going down from there, the folks with the more supporting roles. And so for the first time, I was number two. And when I got on set, I found it very artificial, very imposed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that everybody has these ideas because you're in that slot, because you have that number, you're supposed to act a certain way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there are responsibilities of leadership, of work ethic, very much like I talked about with Miss Tyson. That
Mm-hmm.
if you're in those higher numbers, you're setting the tone for how people come to work. Are you prepared? Can
Mm-hmm.
you stay relaxed when plans change? Um, can you be flexible?
Mm-hmm.
um, can you keep the energy light? How much of the responsibility do you take on to yourself? There are some people, like I see clips of Kevin Hart
Mm-hmm.
behind sets, or Will Smith. They're incredible at taking on the responsibility for the feel of the entire set.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I learned that on Powers, that that was even possible.
Wow.
And trying my hand at it, at being number two. And then so going from number two on Powers to number four on Delilah, I find it less shocking, less strange. It feels more like I'm on a cool team, and when you know your position, you know how to support the whole.
Gotcha.
Those women are absolutely amazing. Amara Hill, it's our first series regular. We were all so excited. And the way Jill and Ozzy and I were able to play our positions and support her and say, oh, no, girl, you number one. You need to ask them for this. Make sure they take care of you for this.
That's good. She learned from you guys. I love that.
Because it's really easy to take on too much and exhaust yourself.
Yeah.
When you're in number one. And you have that infrastructure actually to support you, not to kind of like lord over people.
Yeah.
And it can really reveal where your heart is.
Wow. So you learn a lot from who's number one on set.
You can. You sure can. Not every number one sets a tone like, Kevin or Will. That's all I'll say.
I mean, amen. I mean, there's some stories out there but that's for another interview. Yeah, different show, different interview.
Yeah.
So let's get into all these amazing parts that you've played, and I'm out there for the ones coming in the future. But for the ones you've played so far, what is your favorite, and what about that part challenged you?
Yeah, Demetria Barnes came out of absolutely nowhere. I've been doing the tap dance of do I go to LA, do I go to New York for about 7 years now. And I was just about to try to make a move actually to Los Angeles. So I did a trip out there, and I told my agents, I specifically want to meet the casting director, Kim Coleman. She's absolutely incredible. I've never gotten to audition for her. I want to meet her face to face. And this audition came up, and I approached it like, oh, what a cool chance to meet Kim and connect. So I'll work on this thing, cool. But the real thing is about meeting Kim and getting to honor her incredible work. And so for me, I tend to like control things or like make something happen. But when I backed off, when I took the step back and relaxed a little bit, I had more freedom. And I took more liberties than sometimes I usually take because I want to get things right. And this character gave me a lot of permission to just be a little more wild, a little messier than I think I like. But after playing her, I'm like, oh, maybe messiness, it has, some benefit. There's some fruits from letting things be messy.
I love this. And so for those who have not seen Delilah, and haven't seen it, they can see it on OWN. Give us a little insight of what Delilah is about.
Delilah follows who our lead character, Delilah, who's an African-American lawyer in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's about her having it all. She has a family, she has her own law practice. And for the first time, she gets pit in a case against her best friend, Tamara, played by the amazing Jill Marie Jones.
And for those of you guys may not remember who she is, when you see it, you'll recognize her from Girlfriend. Yes, that was my joint. That was
everybody's joint. And that was like one of the first ones, right? Like Sex in the City, but Black women, and be like, really us, and different kinds of Black women.
Yeah. And
so Delilah tries to do that. Put 4 different kinds of Black women, professional women in the same space, and then see how they all deal with the realities of life in the 21st century. And I played Demetria Barnes, who looks up to Delilah immensely, and she elbows her way into a job at Delilah's firm.
Well, you do, because like I love your look in the show. And your fashions and your look in the show. We have a little video of you. Of you doing it. I don't know. We'll see if Boujon is, if we'll do it. But we'll talk. We'll see if it pops up. If it pops up, then great.
That creative team was incredible.
But can I tell you, your fashion, every single freaking episode, and I text you out of the blue. I was like, girl, your fashion. And the thing is, like, I love watching you work on the show because I loved how you just. The clothes, like I could tell that you loved your character. I'm not surprised that you said that she was your favorite because you love your character. you loved your costumes,
Yeah.
and you were having so much fun, and you had so much ease with her. And
Had
so
a
I
selection.
love all the things you brought to her.
Thank
So
you so much. I have to give a shout out to the costumers. There were
yeah,
three, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking on names right now because it was a pandemic, and
yeah.
we started with one costume designer, and that didn't work out for a lot of reasons. So we had an interim costume designer, and then we brought in the third costume designer who also worked with the team on Greenleaf.
Oh, okay, nice.
We had a lot of the Greenleaf crew
Yeah.
working with us, and so there were a lot of conversations about the costumes, about why Demetria would wear what she's wearing in that moment,
Hmm.
and I felt really heard. I felt seen, and then there were those moments where I was like, okay, I just have to trust you. You are the designer. I've said my piece. I've done my job, and now I'm going to let you do your work.
Wow.
I'm
And
very
so
grateful for that.
now let's skip up before we move on to our cherry pick. I want to just take it a step back to, so you say you go to LA, I want to meet Kim Coleman. I want her to know my work. And then Demetria Barnes comes up. Now, what was that process like? Now, was it a couple
Hmm.
auditions? Was it, because it's during a pandemic. So what was that process like for you to get to play Demetria?
So the first audition was in person in LA in March, the
Hmm.
weekend before NYC shut down. I was
Hmm.
in LA, and
Hmm.
then I flew back, and like 2 days after I flew back, the shutdown started. And
Yeah.
so I thought, oh, clearly this isn't happening.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I got to meet Kim Coleman,
Yeah.
woo, right?
Yeah.
And so right around, I think it was May, I got an email from my agents, and they were like, "Hey, Owen wants to keep moving forward with this. You have a Zoom callback with a producer session. So
Mm.
prepare the same scene. You'll have a little conversation with the creator and the casting director, and you'll just audition like this."
Yeah.
Which I'd had a little experience with, but in the middle of a pandemic, my brain was foggy.
Yeah. And we're all learning how to do that. I was like, how do you do this? Like, how do we
On the
do
fly.
this? Yeah.
And I keep, and this is a really good reminder for me too. I kept going back to what the connection was.
Hmm.
It was like, oh, it's so good to see you again, Kim. It's so good to see you or meet you, creator
Hmm.
of Greenleaf.
Yeah.
That's Craig Wright.
Yeah.
And I and it was kind of fast but fun and
Hmm.
easy.
Hmm.
I didn't try to muscle it too much, which I've been working on.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it was done. I was like, okay, callback. That was cool. Whether it happens or it doesn't happen, I got to connect again.
Yeah.
And then maybe a week later, they were like, it's you. It's you. You got a job. And I was
He was
like,
like,
that.
thank
Like,
you. Got a job. Bills are getting paid.
girl. I'm like, give me
Hey.
something to do.
Yes.
I
During
need,
a pandemic. Come on.
I was going crazy. I planted seeds on my patio. I was trying to grow spinach and carrots and cauliflower. Only the kale worked out. Everything else died.
Kale's good. Kale's good for that
you
body.
know, it said
Oh
kale,
my
good
gosh.
source of vitamin A. But yeah, it was strangely easy, and I just tried to keep that lesson. And then I did a lot of homework when they said that the characters from West Virginia. I
Hmm.
called Coley Calhoun, who's one of my absolute favorite
Hmm.
accent coaches, and we worked on a sound for Delilah. We worked on for Demetria, certain sound changes for her so that
Yeah.
by the time I got to set, I could be easy and had created a different voice than me,
Nice. It
which
was
gave me
so
more
good.
permission. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank
You
you
guys,
so
oh,
much.
I guess we don't get that video, but that's okay. I mean, things get lost in translation and it's live, and
Go
we're
ahead.
gonna roll
Go
with it
watch the
though.
show. Just
Yeah,
go ahead
we
and
just
watch
go
the
watch the
show.
show. Just, yeah, exactly. You guys want to see Susan
You want to see
in her
Demetria?
fashions, and Demetria, like, yeah, because I mean, like, for me, I call her Sue, but her character separated the two. See her fashion and costumes and just all the work she's
Yeah.
doing. Check it out on OWN. It's there. And so these interviews, like I said, we're in and out. But before the interviews are done, I like to ask my guests about their cherry pick.
Hmm.
And so I would love for you to share your cherry pick for those who are watching and who will watch later, because we're on all 3 platforms right now. So there's people watching from all over: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So talk to us about your cherry pick. Okay, see, I forgot to warn you about my segment. Bajorn was on it. Bajorn was like, yes, I'm on it, but I'm lagging.
So I was like, oh my God, the show looks so good, Cherry.
Oh my God, you made me cry. Thank you so much.
I was here before, and you're so gracious enough to bring me back, and to see the creative work that you guys have put into it. It's really beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so my cherry pick is an amazing, brilliant woman who goes by the name Mama Tanya. That's Tanya Denise Fields, and she is gorgeous. You found this amazing footage. Oh my God. She is a radical food justice worker. She was suggested to me by a friend of mine, Melissa, and Tanya is radically honest to me. While we talked about the difference between secrecy and privacy, Tanya has no secrets. She is working out body positivity. She's a tall, dark-skinned Black woman. She's working out finding peace with her body. She's working out food justice. She runs a farm in the Bronx, and she's feeding her community. She just opened a community center in the Bronx. They're fundraising right now so that they can cook and teach other people how to cook. She talks about healing from toxic relationships, and she's in a relationship now with a man who on Instagram looks lovely. And she has, a lot of kids. So she's fighting this, oh gosh, what was that Reaganomics cliche? The welfare queen.
Oh, yeah.
This welfare queen cliche, this dark Black woman with a lot of kids who's unmarried. And then we're supposed to know everything about her, and we don't. And Tanya is every day fighting to be a self-determined woman, to decide her future, decide her fate, and decide who she is, when this country would tell us that we already know who she is. Yeah. And I just have so much respect for her, for the work that she does, and how intersectional it is, how many things she's addressing with her work.
Nice. Well, we have her information scrolling down at the bottom if you guys want to find Mama Tanya on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
And in the Bronx, if you're in New York, or if you're near New York or visiting, go by the Bronx.
Yes, and also we have her website. So we'll Bajorn, if you have it, I would love for you to throw that up there whenever you can. You don't have to do it right now, but look for somewhere. Like I said, we email back and forth, so he probably has like 30,000 emails. But just go through there and let's throw her website up there. And there we go in the chat website, theblackfeministproject.org, theblackfeministproject.org. You can see it there in the chat. And then also here's a video of her in her element, in her calling.
Yeah, and to address the food desert problem by finding land, preserving it for the community, learning how to cultivate it, teaching other people how to cultivate it. That is radical resistance work. There it is. And it's happening all around us. I know a lot of people who like to say, well, we need to do this, what we should do and what we need to do, but she's out there doing it. And I want to be more like her every day.
I love this. Is a good cherry pick. I got really excited about this because I learned so much with all the guests, when you guys bring in a cherry pick, especially if I don't know about it. I love doing the research and finding out more about it and learning, because before this cherry pick, I didn't know about her. And, and so I was like, this is so good because you're paying it forward and I'm learning something. And now I'm following her on Instagram, and and I can pass this information on, and I definitely will post this segment just so people can get to know her more. And I love the idea because food is such. Oh my gosh! It reminds me of. Have you seen High on the Hog? I keep talking about this.
Oh no, I started an episode and then I got distracted. But
so keep it on your list to watch because High on the Hog talks about all of this as well, and the history behind it, and how our food is the food.
It's the food. Like our food is American food.
Exactly, and High on the Hog is talks about all of that. And I cried through the whole thing. But anyway, thank you so much for this cherry pick. And this is it. We're at the end. Like, these interviews are in and out. They're like fun. They're laid back. They're chill. And I'm just so glad you were able to come and connect with me and share your beautiful journey so far, because you're on your way, you're still doing it, but your journey is so beautiful so far, with the highs and the lows. And you guys, there's Susan's social media down there, so you make sure to find her and follow her. And with that said, we're gonna send her off. We're gonna say goodbye and give you love, and thank you so much for coming.
Hugs.
Thank you. Hugs. Yes, thank you. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another amazing, beautiful, warm, funny, loving interview. Susan, I just know in her, like, we both, when I say this, I think about when we first met to where we are now and how our evolution is. Like, I love us and where we're going and who we're becoming and just the journeys that we're on. And so I'm glad you guys got to see a glimpse of our love relationship, you know? So the next episode is going to be not this Sunday, taking Sunday off. It's the summertime too, so a lot of things going on for Bjorn and I. We have things going on. Sometimes we won't be able to be here every Sunday because, you know, summer. I know you guys are used to having a season where we go like 8 Sundays in a row or 6 Sundays in a row. We're going to get it in where we can fit it in the summertime, because people are traveling, people are doing things, people are just living their lives. So the next interview is going to be Sunday, July 25th. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is my next up guest. I'm excited to bring you, drum roll please, Keith Hamilton Cobb. And so I don't even know what to do with myself with this interview. I'm not going to tell you how I scored this interview until the interview happens in my intro, because I'm like gagging right now. Because do you guys remember One Life to Live? Okay, come on. You guys, come on. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, One Life to Live, you know, just like, well, Young and Restless, he did 1 or 2 One Life to Live, but then All My Children, like, I know him from my mother watching All My Children, and when he played Damon Porter. I think it was Damon Porter. I don't know. I don't have my note. I haven't researched it yet, but All My Children with the long locks. You guys remember? He had the long locks. Okay, I'm like a kid in a candy store. So soap opera. He's done TV, film, theater. He's a writer. He's a producer. He does plays. He's written a book. But I'll have all those details fleshed out on the 25th, because right now I'm just talking from excitement, and I just don't want to like keep giving out misinformation, because who knows? You know, I just want to make sure I have everything correct. So anything, with that said, I'll see you later, and join me July 25th, Keith Hamilton Cobb. It's going to be fun, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Bye.